Yo, yo, yo. What's good? What's good? Peace kings, peace queens, peace family, peace broski, peace last call, peace everybody. What's good? Welcome to Tiz's world, man. It's this one of them ones, man. This is a live that I've been kind of putting off, to be honest, just out of fear and awkwardness, to be honest. This probably gonna be one of the more vulnerable ones for your boy, especially. But yeah, man, this is Tiz's world. This is a place where we come together to talk about topics that face men, black men specifically, but men in general. And today is one of them ones for me personally. I'm probably gonna have to be more open and honest than I have in the past. But today is, I guess, a quick venting session slash. Hopefully, I come away with some advice session. Yeah, your boy is kind of going through a little bit of emotional turmoil on the fatherhood aspect. So today's topics, we're gonna speak about the effects of missing your dad and not having a father in your life. We're gonna talk about feeling like a failure as a father, and we're gonna end with a thoughtful question of the week. So let's get off into it. First of all, what's good with you, Face? My bro Face is here, one of the other thirds of the partners.
What's going on?
To kind of share his stuff and also be support for me. I appreciate you pulling up here, champ.
Always, always. You know I'm down for it.
Yeah, man. So I guess the best way to do this is to jump off into it. I only have a short amount of time. I'm kind of using my son's nap time to do this. So I wanted to start with kind of the precursor. This live was prompted by several different things. For one, if you listen to episode 84, which is out now on all platforms, we were talking this week about my experience over the 4th of July holiday. And I had a tarot card reading, and it told me a lot about myself that I already knew. It kind of told me some new things about myself. We'll get into that later on. Um, and one of the major things that it kept speaking to was family, and the importance of that. So it started from that, but it also came from a talk we had on the pod where we were talking about not having a father around and just kind of the lingering effects that it had on all three of us, me, Face, and Pat. Um, so yeah, I guess that was the initial seed. Then the tarot card reading kind of kicked into it, and then I had an experience over the 4th of July weekend at a family reunion with my son, and it hit me harder than I guess I probably realized it should have. Um, and I just realized after just processing it for the past week or so, week or two, that it may be just bigger than me, and I might need to kind of call on some of the other fellas in the world and get advice from others. So on this one, bros, man, if you pull up to the live, feel free to comment throughout the live. And also, if you had advice or you hear something that resonate, or you got some of your own experience to share that might be able to help your boy, please feel free to leave it in the comments as well. So these three areas kind of led me to spiraling, and kind of led me to just really digging into my own thoughts of like what it meant to me to not having my dad, and it kind of led to these three main buckets. For one, I feel like not having my father kind of led me to be in a place where now I'm not really always understanding how to fully be a husband and a partner to my wife. I find myself in a lot of situations, I guess, getting into disagreements or just kind of misunderstandings. And a lot of it stems from the fact of I didn't really have a consistent model of what a man interacting with his woman on a day to day basis looks like in practice. I had a lot of sitcoms, and you try to pick up stuff from what you see not to do from a lot of my examples growing up, but it wasn't a lot. Like my grandfather is kind of like the only male figure I had consistently for a long period of time. He was there for the first 8 years of my life, and I kind of get a lot of stuff from him, but I wasn't around him every single day to see how him and my grandmother were interacting, how they would talk to each other, how he would You know what I'm saying? Just deal with day-to-day stuff, not the big things. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I do a decent job of dealing with big things, but the day-to-day I could kind of be distant. I could kind of be aloof to a lot of things. Um and yeah, that's a big struggle for me. I also feel like I've struggled to kind of really put piece together what manhood is. I feel like I got an idea, and I feel like I try my best to live up to what I think it is so far. But I know that there are some things that I may be putting too much emphasis on or not emphasis enough on, due to the fact that I really have had to piece it together from just trial and error. So a lot of my manhood has been pieced together and not necessarily taught, but more like, okay, I observed this and I think that worked, so I'm gonna put that here, and then I tried that and it didn't work, so let me take that out. Um, and it's constantly evolving. I feel like I would have a better grasp on it though if I had to have my dad. And then I guess the catalyst and the crux of this conversation for today, man, and the story that I'm gonna share today, and what I'm looking for help on today, is I don't always know how to emotionally be there for my son. Because I didn't have a man that was kind of there for me emotionally growing up. I didn't really get a good example or get a chance to see what it looks like in practice for a man to be there for a child, a man child. Um, Emotionally. Like I'm there physically, like I'm always in the home, I'm always at events, I'm always there. I'm there providing wise, like I'm a protector and a provider. He has everything he needs. I'm always there to make sure he's taken care of. But in moments where he is emotionally going through something, I'm not always able to be there like I should be, I think. And a lot of that comes from me not having my dad. And the reason I share that leads me into the next part of this backstory. So my main issue is with my son. I'm gonna tell you the situation that kind of hit this and took this to the boiling point, but some context around me and my son. My son is 7. He is highly intelligent. Um, but I've mentioned it on the pod before. He is a high functioning autistic. What that means in practice is basically he struggles a lot with emotional understanding and emotional regulation. He doesn't always pick up on social cues from other people, um, especially when it comes to like things that could put him in danger. Um, and he's very much so a 7-year old. He's not tainted by a lot of adult things, so he's very childlike. Like he's a very much so a 7-year old, happy go lucky, loves everybody, just is happy to be on this earth and is excited about everything kid. But for me, I struggle with that a lot because it puts him in situations, and it also makes me feel like a failure as a father. And I'll tell you why. So a big part of my manhood growing up, and a big part of what I have grown to see manhood is standing up for yourself and being tough and kind of being able to push through and tough out situations, being a fighter, as I would call it. You know, no matter what the situation is, you don't back away from it. You stand up and you fight. My son being who he is, um, he's not necessarily a fighter by nature. So that leads me to we're at the family reunion at 4th of July, and there's a bouncy house at this thing, and you know all of the adults are kind of mingling around. It's hundreds of adults here. You know, I know the families know me, so I feel safe. Everything's cool. My son is in the bouncy house. He's having a good time. Um, or so I think. You know, I check on them periodically. I'm coming over there. I'm going over there maybe once every 5 minutes or so just to check in, make sure he's good, and then I go back to, you know, talking to the uncles or the aunties and you know the family. Um, so we leave the cookout. I'm thinking everything was great. We're riding home, and he starts to tell me and his mom about the situation that happened in the bouncy house where one of his older cousins. I mean, this is his first time at a cookout at the family reunion, so he's meeting a lot of these people for the first time. So I guess at some point throughout the evening, uh, one of the bigger cousins kind of was, you know, kind of bullying him and some of the other younger cousins. And he went and told my aunt, come back. I guess it happened again, and this time, you know, the kid, you know, was like pushing him and the other kid. So he goes tell my aunt again. Then he comes back and the kid pushes him again. He goes tell my aunt again. My aunt goes over there and I guess she stands over there for the rest of the time that they playing in the bounce house. Everything is cool after that, whatever, whatever. Now, as he's telling this story, I find myself feeling more and more like a failure. And I couldn't figure out why, but I just found myself getting really, really mad. I'm getting angry. I'm not angry with him. I'm not even necessarily angry with the cousin. You know, kids gonna be kids. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of part of life. But what I'm angry about is I felt like a failure because I felt like my son wasn't a fighter in that moment. I felt like my son kind of backed down. And I've taught my son boxing. You know, we train on fighting constantly. You know, he's taking martial arts. He's, you know, I'm doing my best, but I really felt like a failure in that moment because he backed down. And I realized after some soul search, I had to write in my journal even, man. And I guess why I felt like a failure. I'm just gonna read what I wrote in my journal. I felt like a failure because I checked on him over 13 times. He said he was fine. Then we got in the car and he tells, you know, us that he had been pushed around several times without any adult there and saying like, and he hadn't told me. I felt like a failure as a dad because I didn't hover over him or protect him like I felt like I normally would. Kind of known as a chopper pop or a helicopter dad. I feel bad about it a lot, but I don't really know any other way because I don't really been taught how to protect them no other way. So I kind of find myself like overcompensating by being like overly doting on him and kind of just really overly eyeballing him and making sure he's all right. And because I didn't hover over him, I felt like a failure because of that. Felt like a failure because he didn't tell me. I don't know what I felt like I had done something or I built up something in him that made it so that he went to somebody else to express that he was going through something before he went to me. Um, and then I feel like I mostly feel like a failure because I feel like I should have maybe been harder on him with toughness since a baby, and I feel like some of my own fears of him becoming too aggressive, the way I fear being called toxic or overbearing or demanding or overly aggressive. I feel like I've kind of slacked off on trying to instill toughness in him. I give him a pass on it a lot, or I kind of, you know what I'm saying, at times can have babied him when he was growing up. And I feel like, you know what I'm saying, I felt like a failure because as a man, I find myself at this place in society where I'm confused. Um, I I know what it means to be a man to me, but you know what I'm saying, society is constantly telling me that my instincts are wrong because it's toxic or it's wrong or it's going to lead to him being a misogynist or an overly aggressive douchebag. You know what I mean? And I don't want that either. But I'm really terrified because my son has this, you know, condition, or I don't even know what to call it. You know, this superhero power, I guess, because it leads him to be a genius. Like the kid got a legit genius level IQ, so it leads him to have that. But it also leads him to be put in situations where he don't always pick up on the fact that he being bullied. Um, he don't always know if a kid is playing or if they're taking advantage of. And I guess the biggest failure is just feeling like he's gonna be in a situation where I can't protect him, and that terrifies the hell out of him. You know what I mean? Uh, is it a failure to be a father who has a son who isn't a fighter? Like, does that mean that I'm failing as a dad? Does that mean that my son can't be still a man? Like, I don't know. And I've done some soul searching and praying, but I still ain't come up with an answer. So I guess I'm just asking the other fellas or the other kings out here in the world, man. Like, what's up? And what am I doing? Am I Is it normal for him to go through that phase of him being scared? Does that mean that I'm wrong? Should I keep on? Should I be tougher on him? Should I continue to kind of let him be him? Like, what is it? Like, I don't know. But the shit is terrifying me. A little TikTok,
So,
a little put your shoes on challenge kind of helped me a little bit with it because I saw some other kids that was like, damn, you know, I ain't trying to go out there and fight either. So I was like, well, maybe it's just part of his generation. They just not into that. But I don't know. For me, like growing up, it always meant like if you let people push you over, that like you was a failure, and like your parents was kind of failure because they let you be that. And I don't know. I guess that's the question to you, face, to the dudes out there in the chat, to people who watch this on the replay and may have went through this, or they understand, or shit, they got some advice for you, boy. Like, am I a failure as a father because my son isn't
Oh no.
the person that fights?
No, I wouldn't definitely wouldn't categorize you as a failure because your son doesn't want to be aggressive in fights. Because in all aspects of fatherhood, you're not just teaching him how to be tough, you're teaching him how to be smart and recognize situations, regardless of what his superpower is, because that's what it is, you feel me? Regardless of what that is and how he perceives certain situations. You also teach him how to be tough, but you teach him how to deal with life situations as well. You feel me? So how you would personally take a situation and do it, that's not what you teaching him. What he's actually doing is doing what you're teaching him. But you have to take yourself out of your own mindset and see it as what's the man he's becoming, not what am I want him to become, but from the teachings, I'm teaching him what he's becoming. He's not taking the aggressive teachings, he's taking everything in totality. And sure, he may have said later that he was bullied, but the same thing, I go through that same thing with my middle child, with Veda. You feel me? Like, she doesn't readily recognize what bullying is because she wants to love everybody and she wants to be everybody's friend. But you take the youngest, you take G baby, and he's an animal. He's a wild beast. He fights from the moment he wakes up to the moment he goes to sleep. He wants to fight all day, every day, regardless of who it is. But that's just the difference in the child. The teachings are no different. So you can't look at yourself and say you're a failure because of the teachings your children choose to implicate in their lives. You're doing your best and you're teaching your best. How we perceive our teachings is always going to be different. It's the same way. Okay, I put it like this: you look in the mirror, you see one thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the next man can look at you and tell you such and such and such. You be like, damn, I never saw that by myself. The teachings you teach yourself, the teachings you teach your children are that image others see. That's what they're doing, actually doing. What you seeing is only that mirror image. Step back from it. You feel me? Like,
And I think that's the failure part. I guess that's where my feelings of failure. That's what I don't know. I guess feelings of inadequacy. I don't know what the fuck to call it. But
oh no, we all I go through it too.
last call
I'm not.
asked, like, did you
I go
ask?
through that too.
Yeah, I
I,
asked him, and he was like, he told me that he was like he did what basically what Face was saying, like, like he goes to a school where they take fighting pretty seriously, like, so we done taught him, like, what I'm saying, try to talk it out, stand up for yourself verbally, but go tell somebody if somebody close, and use fighting as like the last resort. So I guess, what I'm saying, in one way he did what I told him to do, but I also told him, don't let nobody put their hands on you. You know what I'm saying? Somebody touch you, you got my full right to use everything I done taught you, and use it to the fullest extent, and keep swinging until somebody pull you off on. So I guess for me, like, it's almost like, I think that's the worst part about it. I think is that I look at him as like weak because he didn't fight. I don't think that I don't even know if he necessarily is. I think it's like because he didn't do what I would have done in that situation.
I can understand,
I
but
feel, what I'm saying, and I guess that's I don't know. I guess that's what make me fucked up. You know what I mean?
no, it
Like,
ain't. It ain't fucked up because
I would
you
do,
see you see
and
yourself in your child. So I
judging him,
mean,
or looking at him like that because he ain't do what I do.
oh no, I wouldn't definitely see it. Definitely wouldn't see it as fucked up. I mean, I think as a parent, we innately always want our children to do what I would have did in this situation. But once again, our kids ain't us. They're the next versions of us. We teach them, in essence, to be better than us, to not act as we would. So, in essence, in each parent, we're all innately short-sighted, and we don't see the long run of what we actually trying to do with our kids because nobody actually wants their kid to be them. You feel me? They want them to be the next best thing, the next version. And that's Tiz version 2. You feel me? You're Tiz version 1. That's Tiz version 2, version 2.0. You want him to be the next best thing. So how you would act or how you would think to react in a situation, or how you innately would want him to react based on how you think, in all actuality, that's really not what you want him to do. Because if you think on it, okay, let that situation have played out, and he did exactly what you thought you would want to do in that situation as him, how would that affect you? How would you feel as a father and that insight? If he would have took it to violence, then would you have set him down like, well, we taught you to not take it to violence, if that and that, and then found out that his triggers were a lot lighter? In this essence, you can find out that, well, he can't be triggered that easy to go to violence. It's going to take a whole lot to push him there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't always don't and in fatherhood, I mean, it's a hard lesson because I've been going through for 14 years. You feel me? Like, hey, so I'm on 3 different levels of fatherhood all at one time. I got a 14, about one about to be 14, one about to be 8, one about to be 5. The 2 boys and the girl. The youngest being the boy. So me and the oldest, we ain't on the best terms. She and her teen shit. We ain't on the best terms. It is what it is. Me and the middle baby, that's my rock, but that's my emotional child. You feel me? Like everything in the world crushes her. To anything can crush her. Her emotions on the sleeve. She ain't tough. She ain't tough for nothing. She fold like a feather. But my boy, he's hard as a rock. That's the youngest one. He's hard as a rock. Like I say, fighting is what he want to do. I tell him every day, you can't fight all the time because you're gonna go get somebody to fight. Oh well, I just get beat up and I learn again. But that's just him. But like I said, the teachers I do for each 3 are the exact same. It's how they implicate them
That make
and
me.
go on.
I want my son to be more like G baby. I'd rather that. And I think, and I
I
don't,
would
and I think that's where the turmoil in me come from, because it's like on one hand, I've done that and I know the dangers of that too.
exactly. So
Especially
that's
in the day and age where people shoot before they fight a lot. But on the other hand, it's almost like I can relate to that more. So it's like I don't know, man. It's like I'd rather
all right.
be
So
in
let's
my
get ready.
zone.
So
And I think
so
that's the
let's get ready.
he put
We're
me
gonna
out.
we're gonna be brothers. We're gonna be brothers on this shit. So when you
Yeah,
talk about your son, right?
yeah,
And and I sit and think about my son, I think I'm a failure on some shit because your son don't choose to be violent. My son is all about violence and guns. That's what G baby love. Guns and violence. That's it. That's what he want. Guns and violence. And I sit there like, that's actually a part of me, but I didn't want to have him do any or have him think or have nothing to do with that part of me. You feel me? I put that off. But somehow that part still got him. So when I see and I hear you talk about your son, and I see the the rapport or just the lessons he learns and how he learns how to navigate from the same type of lessons we teach, you feel me? Coming from the same type of background, I'd be like, damn, where am I going wrong? Because I'm trying to teach my son the same type of shit. But my motherfucker always want to pick up a little gun and always try to shoot and shit. But this one, same type of lessons. If I'm like, I'll be like, feel like where you feel like you a failure, I feel like you're a success. And where you feel like I'm a success, I feel like I'm failing. Put it like that.
that's crazy.
Crazy shit. Same lessons being taught. But what we actually want to be implicated in our own sons is like the reverse. But we doing basically the same shit. So it
Yeah,
ain't no failure in you. It's it's how the lessons are received on the other end. And we just have to do our best to balance it based off what we want our little men to grow up as and what we don't want them to grow up as. If we may have that balance between what they learn and what they're receiving and how we seeing it go. Because even though mine got that anger shit that I got, what I didn't have is somebody sitting there and teaching me, okay, hey, what's going on? Sit there and talk about it. Hey, what made you mad? I was always all right, let him go. He be all right. You feel me? And that just let me go. I be all right. That never taught me how to control that shit, angle that shit, nothing. So as an adult, I still struggle with it. But as a child, at about to be 5, I recognize that same issue with mine, so I can do what wasn't done for me the same way you can do what wasn't done for you to yours, and that you are.
Yeah, that's the scary part, man. I do so much for him. I wonder in my hand, like it's like I'm trying to find the balance, bro. Like
Hmm.
I want him to be taken care of and have those, I don't know, I guess safeties and comforts that I didn't have growing up. But I also want him to be have that edge to him where like life don't break him and like situations don't make him fold. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want him to be so comfortable that like he don't have the necessary backbone to stand up to what society gonna throw at him. Cause you know what I'm saying? His bubble is real sweet. Like everybody in his bubble love him.
Hmm.
But outside that bubble, at some point, you know what I'm saying, up to now, he's always been blessed. He's always like wherever he been, the he's made friends, the teachers love him, you know what I'm saying? He got that personality, but at some point he's gonna get to that age where like he gets out of that bubble and he's exposed to enough people that he runs into that group of people that don't know him, don't love him, don't care.
Yeah.
And I want him to be ready for that. And I guess that's the inner the fucked up shit that like I get pissed with myself and I get pissed with my father with. Like that's the shit that I need to know. That's the shit that I feel like people who like grew up with a father, they kind of were able to see, well, how did dad teach me these lessons? What did he do? And they got like a template to replicate from and then build from. Like I feel like I'm like doing trial and error, but it's like when you parenting, it's scary because them little errors could lead to like huge ramifications for the kid later on. You know what I mean? Like I don't
Hmm.
want to fuck up something now and then my son be jacked up as an adult because I did something or I didn't do something. And that
Well,
you know just shit that I be feeling like I don't know, man. I just want to get this shit right, bro.
I mean, I feel just the idea, just the thought of you wanting to do it right, or putting that much effort into just thinking to want to do it right, that shows you how good of a parent you are. Some parents go through like whatever happened, shit. I'm just doing. People don't double think. A lot of people don't double think their choices with this they choice of decisions with their children. You feel me? Like so, you have to revel in the thought that I know I want to make the best decisions for my children. I know I want to make him into the best man he can be, and I know I want to know I'm doing the best thing. I don't want to double guess myself, but I am double guessing myself. And you go through that conundrum of thoughts. I mean, I feel like anyone who aspires to be the greatest parent they can goes through that. Um, I go through it daily. Shit, I don't go through it as much now because I've been going through it for 14 years. You feel me? So the same thoughts I've had with the oldest, I've had with the next, and I've had with the next. But mine with the boy is a little different because he has more of my identical ways. Like I tell people, like he's not supposed to have certain characteristics that I have that he does have. Like scientifically, he ain't supposed to have. Like we have like my fingerprints. He has my identical fingerprints. Like some shit ain't right. So I make sure like certain lessons I know I learned as an adult about myself, I try to make sure I teach him because I see errors that I was making later in life, him making or have the characteristic of making now. So I tend to be like how you said that helicopter dad that hover over him all the time, watching his behavior and doing stuff. I tend to do that, but then I catch myself doing it and I try to step back and let him develop his own, you feel me, like be his own person. Because if I feel I'm hovering too much, I'm actually still doing the same thing that was done to me, which hindered me from growing to a certain extent. But while I'm hovering, I'm gonna make sure I teach him those things that won't taught to me. You feel me? So I mean, it like I said, it's a balancing act, man. Like parenting is always gonna be hard. Shit, that shit don't get no easier as they get older. I fucking guarantee you that. It's no fucking easier. No
No,
fucking easier. It only gets harder
every day.
when they're this age. Um, your worries, your worries are on a different level. Your worries are more of, are you doing the best thing, to for them and teaching them the best thing. Um, but your own inadequacies from what you don't know or what you had to figure out still play a big part in it. Just like mine. You feel me? Like I said, we got similar same background. You feel me? So some same inadequacies you face, I face too. I may just not speak on. You feel me? That not having the father shit. Sometimes I call to mine, but mine can't answer me. You feel me? And even was if he was here, I don't know if he would. So I mean that's a different case. But I feel like the lack thereof, it was certain lessons that I was never taught that I have to learn on my own. That I'm still have to learn now how to just deal with the relationship aspect of balancing the act between me and my wife, or how to do certain things for my kids, or what lessons should I even teach my kids? At what age should I teach my kids? How much of a disciplinary should I be at this age, this age, this age? You feel me? Like when should I cut the ties as far as letting you go, letting you grow your wings and shit? Like I was never taught this type of shit as far as on the man aspect. So trying to teach that on the man aspect is like grabbing straws from things I think is good and building
Right.
blocks. But and also trying to correct those things because shit, I fuck up sometimes. But like you always say, you got to be self-aware and realize when you fuck up. I think you being a man, standing on that and realizing when you fucking up and try to atone and fix that fuck up as a parent, that makes you a better parent.
That's real. What's good, Rodner? So basically my son was put in a situation we kind of experienced a bullying situation, and I'm pretty much was, dealing with feelings of failure as a father, from the fact that he didn't stand up and, what I'm saying, stand up for himself physically. Um yeah, and just the effect that not having my dad plays into why maybe I'm feeling those inadequacies, and just kind of asking advice on, like, am I a failure for that? Is that part of being a good dad, making sure that your son, especially raising a son, you know what I mean? Like if it was a daughter, I probably wouldn't care. I probably would be happy, and I probably would have just been angry at the kid for messing with my daughter. But I don't know, it's something about raising a black man that like makes me really feel concerned about, and it may be overly concerned about him defending himself, especially physically. Um, but Face was definitely giving me some perspective on a different way of looking at it. Last call as well. But that's the overall situation. Um, and yeah, you know, in the comments, man, if somebody please, if y'all got advice on it, if y'all been through the situation before with your own son, let me know how y'all got through it. Help your boy out, because I definitely don't got the answers, but I'm open to learning. Um, and I guess all of this kind of leads me into today's, this week's thoughtful question. Um, if you're in the chat, feel free to answer this question there. If you, Face, definitely sound off on this one. You know what I'm saying? But this is kind of how we're gonna end it today. Basically, what does it mean in today's society to be a man? And by extension of that, to be a father. Um, you got, these new terms and new thoughts of toxic masculinity, and, a lot of things that we've grown up becoming accustomed to or associating with manhood are now being called misogynistic. And some of those things I actually agree with. And I think that's where my confusion comes from, or just not always understanding exactly where we are in the world today, where our place is in the world today. But yeah, with all of these new labels, these new thought processes, these new schools of thought on what manhood should be, everything from the red pill all the way to the purple pills, to the, to the black men, to the hoteps, to the whatever else, you know what I mean? Like, what is it to be a man, and by extension a father today? Like, what does that look like? That's the question I pose to you, bro, and all of the men in the chat, and any man that catches this on replay, man. Like, what does it mean to be a man? Like, what is that? Because I need some new help finding it. Because every time I think I got a handle on it, I get faced with a situation in my life that makes me revisit and makes me question and makes me kind of not sure.
Well, I say the question in itself doesn't have a simple answer. Um, as Society progresses as we as individuals progress, as we learn more, as we are shown different things. Everything progresses. The roles of each individual widens. When it first came out, when we first thought, oh, it would just be protect and provide. That's it. But that's not the society we in no more. So we're still that plus more. We have to be the nurturers too. We have to be the caregivers too. We have to be the understanding and the vulnerable. We have to be there for our kids, but at the same time be able to balance the home work life of providing, giving that same amount of care when you're not there as when you're there. You feel me? Like it, the need for the father to provide the financial and the emotional are equal, but people don't see it. But they always beg and plead for it. When you're getting the financial, nothing but financial, they want and they plead for the emotional. When you get nothing but the emotional and the time, you plead for the financial. So in essence, a man has to be on both sides, each and everywhere. But that put the stress on the man. How can I balance that? How can I be both in there? It's the great balancing act. So to be a great man is to know how to do all those things, but in essence, balancing each one. You can't be all the way there financial and be I'm the sole provider because they just don't want that. You have to be emotional too. You have to be able to key into situations and just not be the brute force no more. Because the brute force, as we've seen, has led many men to beware. That continuous taught of just being the hard rock has taught us what and where's that led so many men. So the evolution and just society has taught us we have to be more than that. So the complexity of being a man is an ever growing and ever learning thing. I mean, it's just like the study of the mind. We don't know everything about the human brain. As time goes on and as motherfucker society grows, what it is and what it costs to be a man will keep continuing to grow. Right now, doing the best you can in each other's eyes. You feel me? Like fuck what society say. Somebody makes society and society say a man is going out here and you working 12 hours a day and don't care about what goes on at home with Sally and Jesse and you coming home, you breaking that bread home. But at the same time, society still says a man is supposed to know what goes on in his family, supposed to be able to be there at his home to protect his family. What happens when you're away for 16 hours a day and somebody comes to your house and takes advantage of your family? Then what are you looked at as? So that's why I say it's a tricky thing. You can't base your thought of how you feel as a man based on what society says. Because society will always say is, you know, all we will say, regardless of what you're doing something wrong. You could be the sole provider and I'm doing everything right. They ain't never wanting for nothing. But they were missing you. And they developed a sense of absence from a father because you were always working and never there. We see that all the time. Well, I was always there and I went to everything and I was always picking you up, but I never had nothing. And people always joking on me because I couldn't afford nothing. We see that too. It's hard on dudes, man, because you want to be everything. You want to be everything. And you see, and it's easy to see failure because we base a lot on what society says we should be. But at the end of the day, you got to take a step back and be like, man, fuck society. I'm going to do the best for mine. And as long as mine know I'm the man of my house and I'm the king of my castle and they see what I'm doing, that's all that fucking matters. You feel me? Society can always put whatever they want out there. We see different men of celebrity status that don't have no type of relationship with their kids, but they millionaires and they've always tried to provide. But being they've been providing and not there for the child, there's no relationship or no bond with the child. So they're not seen as a father. But to them, I'm the best dad ever. I've been providing for shit. Protect, provide. But it takes more than that. As like I said, as society has grown and changed, man, the that role and what it means will continue to always change. It's a complicated road. We are at that I think we that generation that got caught up in the middle. That new age shit is coming at to be now. But we were taught that old age shit, but we coming to figure out that old age shit wasn't what it always meant to be. but we're trying to figure out where we belong between the mix of the both. You
Yeah,
feel me? The
man.
next generation to have it easier. The next, not even the next, the generation after that, they may have it easier because they have it more planned out from the mistakes and downfalls of our generation and our children.
That's the
But I
funny.
can say, like,
It's
we
sad.
we the building blocks.
If mine got
Like,
it figured out than I do already, man. Because I'm
shit,
always confused and going through this emotional shit. He be sitting there happy as a pig and shit. So he got something figured out past what I do, man. I tell you.
shit. As long
No,
as you see
I
progression in them,
I
shit, that's
think
all that
that
matters.
I didn't see that movie. I didn't watch that whole movie, so it's a lot I missed in that. I know he's good in it, but I don't quite remember what are you talking about though. Last call. Give me the context.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Please,
Good
Queen.
part, last call.
Please,
Good,
please,
good, great part.
love Queen of the Pod, and congrats to Honeybee offline. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, man. Help us out, fellas. If you got answers, man. I know it's a lot of people that watch this that's older, may have kids that are older, just have more life experience than myself. You know what I mean? I give my take on everything, but I don't claim to be an expert on anything, and especially this manhood shit. I know some of the basic principles that's kind of universal, but it's still a lot I got to learn, and I'm definitely open to learn this. So if somebody got answers, please feel free to let us know in the comments, man. The question of the week, man. What does it mean to be a man in today's world? And by extension, what does it mean to be a father? Um, while y'all answering that, man, be on the lookout this week. We'll still be dropping videos, a couple of channel updates. Videos for the podcast are now becoming available on Spotify, so I'll be working on uploading the video versions to Spotify going forward. What that does mean is that it will only be clips from the podcast and other videos. So like our series, our live streams, the shorts, stuff like that will be still on YouTube. Clips from the podcast every week will be still on YouTube, but the whole video will be on Spotify. So if you want to see the full thing, links to that will be in the videos going forward. Tiz Takes returns tomorrow, so I'll be back with my sports show. So we'll be getting our sports talk on tomorrow. We got the podcast being recorded tonight at 9:15. I'm gonna actually see how I can connect this to the Zoom or some way, but we're gonna do the pre-show here. I know Rodney said he want to come up and kind of touch on the subject that we're talking about today right now. So be staying tuned for that. Y'all will get to see pretty much the random thought section of the podcast that we record every week before we actually go into the intro and actually start the podcast proper. So y'all will be able to be live with us for that. And other than that, man, the number one ways you can support, man, the number one ways you can support is to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Please, please, please. And if you're watching on YouTube, anytime you watch our content on YouTube, if you could please watch the entire video. If you get tired of it or something, cool. You took the time to support us. So just click mute, let the tab play in the background as you go about the rest of your day. But allow us to do that. The watch hours are one of the number one ways that we can get in the algorithm and get other people to get into our content. So please, please, please help us out that way. And yeah, man, thank y'all for joining me today. Like I said, just looking for advice. So I think I definitely appreciate you pulling up to the face and kind of giving me the context and your perspective. That definitely was a huge help and a huge jumping off point for me to kind of reflect from a different lens. Um, definitely thank Last Call, Rodney, Honeybee, for y'all wisdom here in the chat, man. I'm definitely gonna go back and kind of just read through and just rewatch this and kind of reflect and yeah, try to get a better handle on things. Try to improve myself as a father, as a black man, and I really just appreciate y'all. If you're watching on replay, please drop it in the comments. Any thoughts, anything that resonated with you, any experiences you have, any advice you have. Like I said, I definitely need it. And I hope that my being vulnerable sparks a conversation or helps somebody else out there who may be going through the same emotions and feelings as a dad. Because it ain't easy being a black father, man. There's a lot of really difficult jobs in this world, but being a successful and a present and a really active black father, it's not easy. So, you know what I mean? We all we got, so let's share our wisdom. Let's help each other. That's gonna pretty much be it for this week's edition of Tears' World. Next week I'll be back and we'll be discussing double standards and relationships of all kinds. So on the romantic end, but also on just in general. So yeah. Face, thank you for joining me. Anything you want to say to the people? I don't know, man. Oh, there you go. Say that one more time.
Peace out. Peace out.
Right on, right on. Peace and blessings, kings, queens, man. Thank y'all again for pulling up. Put it in the comments, man. And see y'all tonight, the pre-show at 9:15, man. Love y'all. We about this thing.